RV living requires a lot of sacrifice, and we're always looking for ways to improve and to add to our creature comforts.
Here are some of our recent DIY projects that have made life on the road a little easier.
Hey Sidetrackers! It's been quite a while since we posted our last video. We took a year off from traveling, but now we're back.
So our main focus on our first trip was to completely gut and renovate Wanda. A lot of that was for our comfort, style, and just to make it feel more like home. But that first year on the road taught us a lot of lessons. So before we left a second time, we wanted to make some improvements that are not as drastic or exciting cosmetically. They make a lot of difference in the functionality and convenience of living on the road.
While we did a lot of projects in the last year, here are our top 10 improvements,
where we see the biggest differences in our comfort, convenience, and functionality of Wanda. So, our number one, the shower, my favorite. There is nothing like a good shower, am I right? Well, our old setup left a lot to be desired, so we ended up showering at campgrounds when we could. Given the current pandemic, we wanted to make sure that we were as self-contained as possible, so we knew that this was a big fix. For starters, our water pump was really lousy. Some of it was caused by our shower head, and some of it was because of our water pump. The water pump didn't work very well, it was really loud, and it would vibrate the whole house. So, first step, we took that out and installed a new water pump, the Seaflow 42 Series Water Pressure Diaphragm Pump and pre-pressurized accumulator tank. This drastically improved our water pressure. We got more gallons of water per minute, and it's a lot quieter. The added accumulator tank gives us consistent pressure. The old one, it would pulse. You'd get a big shot of water and then a dribble. So now we have constant, continuous stream. Next, we switched out our shower head from the old tiny one to a bigger, more efficient one with better pressure and less water. Also added a shut-off valve to conserve water. This is especially important when you're boondocking and taking those army-style showers, meaning you turn the water on and off while you're shampooing and soaping to save as much water as possible. Most shower heads do have a shut-off switch by the top, but it still allows for dripping or a small stream of water to come through. This is to prevent scalding, but since we have a digitally operated hot water heater now, we don't really need to worry about that so much, so we added the shut-off valve to completely stop the stream of water and save water while we're turning it on and off. Next up is our hot water heater. Our old hot water heater did run on propane, but it took about 30 minutes on average to heat up. So, not a big deal when you need a shower, you just flip it on, wait a little while. But we were always having a problem washing our hands and washing dishes in cold water. It's okay if you think ahead of time about it, but let's be honest, we usually don't plan things too far in advance. So, we removed the old water heater and instead installed a Girard on-demand tankless water heater. So, if you want hot water, you flip the switch, turn on the water, and all you have to do is wait about 30 seconds. So, showers are much nicer, and we now have hot water whenever we need it for our hands and our dishes. There is also a control board so you can digitally alter or change your temperature depending on your preferences and depending on the weather, if you want it hotter or colder.
So water filtration is our next project, and we thought about this project for quite a while when we were taking a year off from traveling. What we did before was we used a Camco inline water filtration and a Brita stream pitcher. This worked okay for the first year. It was quite expensive, but it didn't quite filter everything, and we wanted a more convenient way to filter water. The pitcher took a lot of counter space. What we liked from our first year was the two-step process of filtering, where we filtered the water coming into our RV and we filtered it a second time right before we drank from it. So we wanted to follow that process in year two. So for the water coming into our RV, we use a clear source water filtration system. So for step two, Right before we drank the water, we use a water drop under the sink filtration system. So even if the water sits in our tank for a couple of days, we're guaranteed to have some clean drinking water. The nice thing about this water filtration system is that the filters last much longer. The clear source filtration system and the water drop filtration system lasts for hundreds of gallons more than the Camco inline and the Brita pitcher stream. The price difference between the two systems, so year one, the Camco inline water filtration system and the Brita stream pitcher costs about 32 cents a gallon, which is a lot for water. And for year two, the clear source water filtration system and the water drop in-sink water filtration system, it was about 2 cents a gallon. So a big difference between the two.
Propane. We have a pretty small propane tank for full-time living. We can only hold about 18 gallons, which means we have to fill it up pretty frequently. And filling it up is a process. We have to disconnect the Jeep and maneuver the rig correctly, so we wanted to deal with that. We decided to carry an extra 20-pound propane tank, which gives us about an extra 4.7 gallons to work with. I, for one, was a little nervous about driving around with a loose propane tank banging around. So what we ended up doing was we reorganized the garage a bit and we built a wooden crate with a door and a latch to lock the propane tank in. It fits very tightly and we can lock it shut, so we're very secure and confident that it's not moving while we're driving.
Another improvement we did was to help our function of our AC. Whenever we boondocked and we ran off generator power, we weren't able to run our AC. This was a big problem, especially in Big Bend, where the temperatures got over 100 degrees and inside the RV was even hotter. So to remedy this, we decided to install a MicroAir Easy Start. What an Easy Start does, it helps the compressor on the AC start. Normally, without an Easy Start, the compressor requires a lot of amperage in order to start, getting that big jolt right in the beginning. This is probably the reason why our AC wouldn't start off our generator. So the MicroAir Easy Start was really simple to install. There's plenty of documentation on MicroAir's website for your specific AC, and there are plenty of YouTube videos that you could follow. The install took about an hour to do, and it was super simple. So we weren't able to test the MicroAir Easy Start in the wild yet, but we did test it in the driveway, and I'm happy to report that it works perfectly. Along the lines of cooling our RV, we wanted to address our vent fans. We have two vent fans in Wanda, one in the living room and one in the bathroom. And the one in the bathroom was the one that gave us a lot of trouble. It was small, underpowered, and extremely loud, and so it needed to be replaced. So we decided to go with the MaxAir Plus vent fan because it was powerful and silent. The install was relatively simple. I would say the hardest part of the install is trying to remove the old die core from the old vent fan. There's a lot of great documentation and plenty of YouTube videos to follow. Overall, we're extremely happy with the new vent fan. It's extremely powerful and silent. And with the combination of the front fan and the rear fan, we can really cool down the RV pretty quickly. We also use the bathroom vent fan to exhaust off the steam when we are showering, to keep condensation down and to prevent mold.
Our refrigerator has caused us a lot of misery. We had to replace it, and to be honest, the new one kind of sucks. We've never been happy with it. And the biggest issue is that the latch on the refrigerator and freezer do not stay shut. So I lost count of how many times the fridge door opened while we were driving, and food, liquid, everything spilled out. Twice, while we were driving and turning onto a highway ramp, the fridge door flung open so violently it snapped off. Everything flew out and it looked like we had an epic food fight inside of Wanda. So we needed to address this. We were lucky that it never fell and hurt anyone, caused an accident or anything like that. So we wanted to make sure that we had a way to securely shut it and not have to worry about it. We added these strike plates and cut these rods. We drilled the strike plates into the wall on the one side and into the pantry cabinets on the other. So before we leave, we just slide the rods in and it is secure. Since the fridge is black, we were able to get black strike plates and painted the rods black so it all blends nicely.
In the first year, we only had about 300 watts of solar, and it was a little underpowered. Whenever we would boondock, we were only able to extend our stay and not really fully charge our 200 amp hour lithium batteries. So during the break, this was a priority for us. Ashley was on team solar and I was on team batteries. I wanted to increase the batteries by another 100 amp hours, and Ashley wanted to capitalize on what we had and just add more panels. Ashley won out, and so we went with the solar direction. We added additional 400 watts of solar and a new charge controller, and it made a big difference. On our roof, we now have an additional 200 watts, making it 500 on the roof. And we also decided to go with a portable option. Oftentimes we're boondocking in sites that have a lot of shade. And so it's nice to have the portable system because we could be a little bit more proactive with the sun. So in the early mornings before the sun hits the roof, I'm able to point our portable panels east and capture the first bit of sun. And the opposite side, when the sun sets, I'm able to capture the last portion of the sun before we call it a night. In addition to the panels, we also got a new charge controller. Now we have two charge controllers, one for the roof and one for the portable system. This gives us the ultimate flexibility in how we charge our batteries. Overall, we're really pleased with our solar decision. Maybe in the future we're able to get more battery capacity, but for right now it's nice to know that solar is able to charge our batteries, and this gives me a lot less battery anxiety. Oftentimes I'll be checking the app to see what our state of charge is, and I do that a lot less often.
The closet. So when we first bought Wanda, there is a closet in the back, the only closet in the whole house, and we were super excited. For some reason, we were really convinced that we would need a closet. Basically, it's just a big rack, and we thought we would have tons of things to hang. But in reality, it just ended up being a lot of wasted space. Most of our clothes storage goes above the bed in bins, but it's kind of a pain in the...
You can say pain in the ass.
It's kind of a pain in the ass to constantly pull all of the bins out when you want a t-shirt. So we wanted to come up with a better design for the closet and a more convenient way for us to quickly access clothes. So we left a small portion of the closet for hanging for a couple of jackets or anything nice we need hung up. And then we built in 3 deep shelves, which gives us plenty of room to stack our clothes. What we do is put clothes that we wear often, our hiking clothes, sweats, pajamas, for much easier access. On the bottom, we left a little area for some baskets where we store pet accessories, and I have a bin of socks. Another complaint we had with the bedroom was there's only a nightstand on one side. So if you're on this side of the bed, you have nowhere to charge a phone, nowhere to keep a drink, ice cream, anything. So when we redesigned the closet, we built in this little cubby with just enough room for a phone charger and a small coffee cup.
The last project we did was a project that we didn't really want to tackle. Unfortunately, on the end of year 1, we broke our jack and it was unable to retract or retract in. And so after hours and hours, countless hours of troubleshooting and thousands of dollars trying to fix our system, we threw the white flag and we knew we weren't able to fix it. So after giving up and throwing the white flag in, we decided to purchase a whole complete new system. We went with the Bigfoot leveling jacks and we decided to install it ourselves. We were confident after all the troubleshooting we did with the other jacks, we could do it ourselves. The install was relatively simple. The hardest part, I would say, is trying to retrofit the old mounting brackets with the new jacks. Bigfoot provided new mounting brackets, but I don't have access to a welder, and so we had to retrofit the new jacks into the old mounts, and that took some time. Overall, we're extremely happy with our leveling jack system. This gives us a lot more flexibility. So we can move up and down each side of the RV independently, while our old system only could bring up 2 at a time, and if you needed to bring one side down, you would need to bring all 4 sides down, which was a real pain and required a lot more time. So now we can move into a site, park it, put the jacks down, and extend the slide, all within a couple of minutes of arriving.
So that wraps up our project list. We hope we gave you some ideas for ways to upgrade your rig. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe below. Follow us on Instagram, and we will see you on our next adventure.